Hello, welcome to Knowledge Unboxing, a platform where knowledge is unboxed. So today's topic to unbox is Java 14, new features of Java 14. So to start with, first feature, the text blocks. There is a second preview into a text blocks. So now you don't have to make any explicitly indentation. You don't have to explicitly write /n/t or any other symbol to indent the string. And for writing a multi-line string, in older Java version, what you are supposed to do is you have to write a concatenation operator and then you have to write a multi-line strings. But now when you are using Java 14, a second preview, a text blocks have given you a functionality that you could write a 3x double quotes, then a string and again 3x double quotes, and it will automatically consider that as a multi-line string and you need not to explicitly specify anything else. So to know more about this, let's jump into an example.
To demonstrate you an example of text blocks, I have used Eclipse IDE and I have Java 14 installed. And then I have a class file and I have two different string, one with name old Java string and another with name Java 14. This is just to show you that in older Java version we have to explicitly add concatenation operator and indentation symbol. And now when you are using Java 14, all you have to do is add these blocks and that's it. Just let me run this code to show you a difference. As you can see, even in Java 14, if I have not added any concatenation operator or even if I have not used any indentation symbol, everything is by default maintained.
Second feature introduced by Java 14 is pattern matching for instance of. If you know, instance of is operator which has been used to test whether the object is of specified type or not, whether it may be of type class, maybe subclass, or maybe interface. So in older Java version, if you have to use the operator instance of, what you are supposed to do is you have to first cast the object and then check the condition, and then you could know whether the instance of is returning true or false or something else. But now when we have pattern matching with Java 14, you don't have to explicitly cast the object. You just have to provide the corresponding type, and that's it. To know more about this, let's jump into an example.
To demonstrate you an example of pattern matching for instance of operator, I have written two different methods. The reason I have written two different methods is to show you that in older Java version how the code was written and how the code will be written in new Java 14. So in older Java version, we have to compare and check the condition first, then we have to create new variable and cast it explicitly and then access the member. And in Java 14, all you can do is you can compare and check the condition and access the member. Otherwise everything else will be done by Java 14. You don't have to explicitly cast it. So if I run this program to show you output, you can see the output is exactly similar. The only difference is the way you write the code. It is much more easier in Java 14.
The third feature of Java 14 is records. A new type has been introduced into Java 14. So this type is somewhat similar to a Pojo class, which is restricted and enhanced. Then it may also be like similar to a final class, which is immutable in Java. So if you know, in Pojo class we have to write lots of boilerplate code like getter setters, constructors, equal to, hash codes, and toString, etc. But in records we need not to write any of this. What we have to do is we just have to declare a type as record, and we have to just provide a needed fields as an arguments, and that's it. So one more thing that you should know about records is that record cannot extend a class. Yes, it can implement an interface, but then yes, it cannot extend any class. So to know more about records, let's jump into an example.
In video tutorial that records are enhanced and restricted type of Pojo classes. If you have ever written a Pojo class, you know that there is a lots of boilerplate code that we need to write. For instance, I have one Pojo class named employee where I have three fields: first name, last name, and age. Then what I have to do is I have to write a getter, setters, constructor, hash code, equal to, and toString method for this employee Pojo class. You could see it here. But what if I say that you need not to write any of this in records? All you have to do is declare a type as record and add a field as argument. That's it. So let us try that. I will remove all the code from Pojo class. I will define one type as record and I will name the record as employee. I will pass arguments or fields like first name, last name and age to this record. And in another class, what I will do is I will try to set the values for this record. I am using constructor to set the value, if you can see, and then I am trying to print the record like first name, last name and age. One thing you need to know about record is that you cannot have a setter methods on record. You can only have getter methods, and you could have hash code equals to and toString methods. To see the output of this code, let me run the program. You can see the output is first name, last name and age. It has printed both. Then I have used equals method to compare. It is showing true. If I just change it to record 1 and try to compare the object, it should show me false. Here it is, and then at last it shows me hash code.
The fourth feature of Java 14 is helpful null pointer exceptions. Yes, now the description of null pointer is much more improved. It's always been irritating to see a null pointer exception because we never know where the null reference is coming from. But now when you are using Java 14, we have got a clear idea. It points out the variable which has a null reference, so we know that where this null reference is coming from. To know more about this, let's jump into an example.
To demonstrate an example of null pointer exception, what I've done is I've declared a variable of type string and initialized the value to null, and then I'm trying to convert that string to uppercase. So now when I try to do so, I should get an error, a null pointer exception. Here it is. But now it does not tell me the null reference, where exactly the null reference is coming from. In Java 14, if you go to run configuration, arguments, and then if you add the argument called as show code details in exception messages to VM arguments and then try to run the code, it will give you a detailed explanation about where the null reference is coming from.
Fifth feature that is released in Java 14 is switch expressions. Switch expressions was initially introduced as a preview feature of Java 12 and Java 13, but now yes, it is a permanent feature of Java 14. Syntax is much more easier to write. It's like almost similar to a lambda expression, and now we have chance to return a value from a switch box using a keyword called as yield. So to know more about this, let's jump into an example.
Mostly every developer have used switch case. So what exactly switch case is? So switch case tests one variable, and depending on the value it gives the multiple choices. So traditional way to write a switch case is you write a switch expression, then you pass the variable that is to be tested for multiple cases, and after every cases there is a break statement, so that if a case is true then we need not to check for other cases. And at last we have default case, which is used to perform a task when none of the task is true. This is the traditional approach of writing the switch case. So if I run this, I can see if I pass the input as 1 is printed. If I pass 2 here and try to run, 2 will be printed. But with Java 14 we have all new way to write the switch case. It's something like this. We have to write a switch, then we have expression something similar to lambda, and we also have one keyword called as yield, which is used to return the value from the case box. So if I run this now, it should print 2, and if I try to change it to 1, it should print 1 and 1 again, because yield returns value 1.
The sixth feature about Java 14 is packaging tool. Yes, the packaging tool. New tool called JPackage has been launched in Java 14. it creates a platform specific installers. So what does this mean? So if you have to run any Java application on a client machine, the prerequisite is to have a Java installed on the client machine. But now when you have JPackage with you, you don't have to install Java on a client machine, as based on type of OS, so operating system, and JDK you are using, it will create a package. For instance, if you are using Windows, it will create either MSI or EXE. If you are using Linux, it will create RPM or DEB, and if you are using Mac, it will create PKG or DPKG. So if you have learned something watching this video, please don't forget to like and share this video, and also don't forget to subscribe my channel for more interesting videos. Thank you. Happy learning.